Hello, welcome back. So this video is actually on the history of vineyard management techniques. But something interesting that I wanted to talk about just before that was the kind of increasing international aspect of these writings. So Theophrastus really didn't talk that much about any type of international vine cultivation techniques because he really didn't talk that much about specifically vine cultivation techniques. But then as you get to Varro and Pliny, there's a lot more discussion of how they did it or they did it. So Varro talks about how in Spain that the vines are growing without props, but that in Italy they're yoked, which means that they're up on stakes. So there's this kind of acknowledgement that there's a difference, but there's not necessarily kind of a reasoning about why until you get to Pliny. And Pliny actually spends a decent amount of time discussing why certain vineyard management techniques are used in certain areas. So he talks about Africa, vines in Africa, and says that because they're so windy, they need to have like a great support system. So that's the reason behind why they do what they do. And this really goes with the entire theme of the fact that it's just building knowledge upon each other. So here again, we have Varro and Cato are our main people that make these distinctions and write them down and categorize them. And then we have Pliny saying, this is why. And then you can extrapolate that and say, okay, now if you're in a windy place, you should have some kind of prop, some kind of support system to make sure that your vines are properly cared for. So just an interesting kind of precursor to the discussion on vineyard management techniques. So when it comes to vineyard management techniques and understanding kind of the history and the development of it, what I'd like to really focus on is pruning and thinning. So the people that we're going to be talking about are, as always, Theophrastus, Cato, Varro, and Columella. So Theophrastus, ever our perfect base for everything, he definitely understood the need for pruning, but again was not really able to articulate why, and he was very general about it. So he explained it in the context of trees again, and he just said that you need to remove dead wood, that this was kind of a foreign body that was on the vine or was on the tree that would impede it from growing properly. So his was a very kind of practical, general idea. Then moving forward, you have Cato. And Cato kind of made a bit more of a distinction and said that how you prune should be essentially dictated by how old the plant was. So if you had a very old plant, don't prune it as much, don't touch it as much. But if you have a young plant, definitely get in there and remove some of the wood. So you see kind of like a bit of moving from general to specific. Then Varro kind of went even further and started describing about how when you have vines in a nursery that you should be pruning them a lot, because when you do, then you have sturdier stalk and you have kind of stronger shoots coming out. So this was definitely, as you can see, it's kind of exciting to see how these get a lot more specific. And then by Columella, I'll actually read to you what Columella said. It's really interesting. So he explained, he made a lot of more specific distinctions having to do with which canes and vines, like what you should cut and why you should cut it. So he explained, I should not call that a fruitful vine where only one cluster is seen to each cane. But if a larger number of clusters hang upon every young shoot, it from every eye on its many mature branches, it sprouts out with fruit. If finally it also puts out from its firm wood a green shoot with some clusters, if too it is heavy with the fruit of its secondary shoots, such a vine, fruitful beyond doubt, should be marked out for the gathering of mallet shoots. So you have this kind of very much more specific idea of, okay, which canes are producing how much fruit, as opposed to simply, when you think back on Theophrastus just saying, it's dead wood, just get rid of it, or when you have Cato saying, only touch it if it's old. Now you have this very, very specified understanding of which kind of canes that we want, which we can get rid of, and how we should be looking at our vines with an eye for cultivation and proper techniques. So I hope that this kind of got you excited to learn more and clarified some things for you, and I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!